People belonging to two cultures face great difficulty and many obstacles regarding fitting in with the majority, struggling with their identity, and being in a constant state of uncertainty concerning what can be identified as their country, true culture, language, and ideas. It is undoubtedly a challenge to leave what is familiar and head somewhere else for a better future. You certainly will face a list of setbacks. Personally, leaving my home country was not as testing as leaving the country of which I was raised in. Humans tend to start storing memories of which they continue to remember from the age of 5 or 6. As a result, I was not affected by leaving the original country I was born in, but it was a massive question of identity leaving Dubai for Australia. As I surprised myself when I was unwilling to leave. Why wasn't I as longer to my birth town as I was to Dubai? Where is home? Will it be Australia? Blending in or standing out becomes a great concern, and a decision one must make eventually. I chose to blend in through removing my headscarf, a way I was expressing my religion through. The change of location and surroundings has effect on emotion. Feeling different becomes the enemy, thus we blend in. Asian Australian poets made a good connection between both their identities through aligning words, creating poems, and expressing themselves while mentioning short snippets from their lives, as well as using multiple languages in their poems, which includes the Asian one. In Merlinda Boba's poem, This Is Where It Begins, she starts by speaking Bicol Naga, then Filipino, before transforming the words to English. It instantly shows the multicultural nature of the poem. 3 languages used by one poet certainly makes a statement. Learning a new language in order to survive living in a new place can be hard. Bobus had to learn English to better communicate in Australia. Maureen Ten's Translucent Jade is a well-written poem that captures the struggles of identifying with two cultures. My grandfather made me a gift when I was born. I used it for a while until another gift, my mother's, flashed in view. Maureen is of a Malaysian background. She migrated to Australia in 1989 along with her family. In those short lines, she described the Chinese name she was given by her granddad as a gift that was not used long before her mom gave her a new one, a more Western sounding name. A child back then, she did not know any better. It was her parents' concerns that made her identify with other than her original name. You see, standing out is sort of a big problem to new arrivals. When you are lost, you try to hide that from the rest. You become vulnerable. Those were the feelings of Maureen's parents. They had to ensure their daughter blends in to avoid unwanted attention. In stanza 1, my grandfather made me a gift when I was born. I used it for a while until another gift, my mother's, flashed in view. Coming in his place of origin, he, her gift, sparkled and sang, replaced the other. Not that his was jostled aside, but it sort of slipped away. No one seemed to mind if they noticed, as it lay in disuse, and then was quite forgotten. The poet was telling the story of the 2 names she had, where stanza 2 is dedicated to her retrieving the Chinese name. Today I retrieved his gift from its silence. Barely, rarely used, it seemed mostly new. Pristine, I tried it on. It was a little strange, as if from a world I hadn't inhabited, but had heard stories about. Sometimes I felt an imposter, sometimes I thought it reflected hidden aspects I could own. She also uses a more descriptive approach as she associates pristine, rarely used, and mostly new with it. But she also felt strange and an imposter. She hasn't used it throughout her life. The short period of time she had used it cannot be equated to the number of years she had forgotten it in. It was hard to belong to her Asian identity. She felt as if she did not deserve it. Perhaps like she had deceived her Asian culture by choosing to have the other name. So much emotion and feelings are created in the second stanza, whereas the third one contains questions she had asked herself. What vibrations are these? Does this begin to become me? Do I to it belong? This translucent, slowly yielding music, Chinese name. She mentions vibrations. This can be understood as memories or feelings of belonging being re-established within her. Does this begin to become me? Is her Asian side beginning to be a bolder part of her? That is when her Asian name starts to become a part of her overall self. Do I to it belong? One of my personal favorite sentences of the poem. She questions whether or not she belongs to the whole culture, not just the name. This translucent, slowly yielding music is how she described the name, a music track slowly playing again after being paused for long. She struggled, did not instantly put back her Chinese name on. The Jade finally is her Asian name, and her identity a product of both cultures. Simply, if humans were pictured as blank canvases where different brushes represent different cultures, ones living between two or more in certain cases have 2 distinct types of lines painted on them, adds to their beauty but creates an odd pattern which forces them to stand out from canvases with a single brush painting them. What are your own interpretations of the question?